Good morning, Vietnam. Good morning, Mexico and world. And probably nobody from Mexico will see this, but I am currently in Mexico City. Hello. I hope this live will work. I am doing this for my membership, so I'm going to tag all the ladies in my membership. But I also was guided to do this publicly because there'll be some updates with Margo and our family's journey and how you can come into my world for those of you that are interested in awakening true wealth. This is after, as many of you know, 3 profound spiritual awakenings. And the reason why I've stopped using psychic in my promotions and in my marketing and in my pages, because many times I feel like that charge comes with a lot. And so as a psychic, a lot of times we're perceived as fortune tellers, and we have psychic abilities, which I believe we all have, to tap into information. And as you know, this whole creational realm is dizzy with information. Social media has become our new reality. And just to let you in a little secret, a big secret, social media is not reality, just to let you know. And what I mean by that is that we can make anything look like anything on social media, all right? And what I've learned in the past, which is now over and done, but what the wisdom and the lessons have brought forward from some experiences on social media is that we can make anything look as we want it to. And so last year, when we were, really shaken up after the forest fires in Jasper, Alberta, I had literally predicted the 30%. I knew it. And I'm writing about that currently. So on the plane, kind of recalling some of that emotion, I was streaming tears, but I was on fire, literally writing so much. Now, in this very tumultuous season of my life, what I saw was a lot of people profiting off of using the word fire and on fire. And I thought, wow, this is what the world has become, that we can take somebody's experiences in the meat of their suffering and profit from it. And I thought, what a sad show that that's what it has become. I also saw people in the high-ticket industry lying about income and some really shisty things happening within a community that I was in that I really was happy to be in. So after we left our community, my Facebook page went quiet. People stopped liking it. I had projections of being connected to black magic. And so leaving 2 communities, one that were the roots of my birthplace, and feeling like I was almost exiled as we had made the decision to leave the fire. That was instinct and that was intuition. Did I know when it was going to happen? Did I know the date? No. Was I shouting it on the top of the rooftops? Yes. Do people always listen to the psychic? No. So what I have learned is that I don't want to be a psychic because that comes with a lot of responsibility, but I will still use psychic powers for the betterment of the world, of course. But beyond psychic is a deeper truth that I believe we're all needing so desperately to get back to. And in this uncharted territory where we're moving forward into an uncharted truth, which I can say is kind of like the Antarctica trip we just went on. They said, we don't know what's happening with the weather or the water, so don't count on anything. Just be open for the adventure. And I feel so deeply that that is what we're moving into as a societal race. Now, when I say societal race, we need to look at ourselves as an evolving race of humans. And sometimes I see like pure humans, like their first time on the planet, that have never been here before, bless their innocent souls. They have no idea what it's like to come in. And I love to read and connect with these ones because they're kind of fresh from new awareness, right? They're not tainted with the traumas of many lifetimes. There are others of us that were founders of the Earthship and of the Earthship, and we're here now, and we've been here since the beginning of time, And before time as we knew it, when we were still connected deeply to source, before we started making up stories that included fear, where Hollywood started to profit off of these stories, and we forgot that we are the creators of source and source. But we do have an ego. That's the difference. Now, when religion created itself into story, we forgot that we are source. It went into the hands of men, and a lot of lies were told that benefited the prophets, not the prophets. And some of you will understand that. And so I believe that those of us that are here to do big work, we transmute and transcend, not just for our own selves, but for humanity. And I can tell you what I experienced yesterday was one of those days after an incredible trip to the Antarctica with like-minded souls, conscious investors, people that are literally very wealthy with their hearts in the right place. And so somebody that I met, for an example, is a conscious capitalism. And so many people are into this on this boat. And so I landed by following my guidance and ending up in the right place. And I believe that when we actually lead with our heart and not our solar plexus, root, and our lower chakras of, yes, we need to stay grounded in this world. Yes, we need to stay connected in our hearts. But right now I'm in Mexico City and I'm looking at a very polluted city, a huge city that does not ever stop. And I love Mexico City very much. And it's highly polluted, as are many places in the world. And here we have the solution. They've implemented, that certain cars can drive on a certain day and certain cars cannot. And what I know from knowing many locals is that people don't abide by those rules. They just buy a new car with a different license plate so that they can drive every day. So in our kind of selfish ignorance, when there's laws put in place that are here to help our communities and help our lungs stay connected to the breath and oxygen that we need to survive, and we don't abide by them because our egos prefer what the ego wants, we end up with pollution and plastics. When we buy high-end clothing or any clothing made from plastic or otherwise, we put that back into the world. So we are responsible for a lot of the problems on the planet. And when we awaken, which I have 3 times, there is no question that we are the environment of Earth. We are hosted as Earthlings. The trees are our lungs and our oxygen, the water, like our emotions, the inner fire that our soul carries, the metal that we are essentially made up. Hi, I saw somebody coming in. Thank you for your hearts. It shows me you're there. I appreciate that. It's helpful that I'm not just speaking to nobody. And I keep doing that anyways, because I believe as an awakened being, it's my responsibility to share what I know. And so the last couple years, I've done this freely. A lot of everything that I've produced has been free. And against much advice in the industry, many have said to me, that's draining and stop doing it and don't overpost. And I'm very neurodivergent. And the way that neurodivergents operate is information dumping, because we can't possibly contain all of what we get. We just can't. Hello, Susan, another empath, a wise wisdom, and an elder who I've been drumming with, who I've shared experiences with. And so the elders are often who the empaths need to lean on, because you have the experience. And those of us that were born in the 70s and in the early 80s certainly came in after the parents that we have in the 60s, where the no bras, burn the bra, they were opening a path for our consciousness, for sure. Now, when I was born, for example, my mom said, you just weren't a Rochelle. Like, that's what she wanted to name me, Rochelle. And I was like, why didn't you name me that, Mom? I love that name. And she goes, you weren't a Rochelle. You were a Margo. And Margo means pearl. And so in my branding, hi, Janice. Hi, Susan. And anybody else popping on. Hello, hello, hello. I just got back from Antarctica. It was amazing. And then I crashed hard. So I'm talking a little bit about being an empath, managing the energies of Earth and a dizzy world in Mexico after a profound opening in the most silent place of the world. and I felt like, oh my God, I picked up something dark. I was knocked solid in a very, very bad nightmare. I woke up and I just was so out of my body, more than I've ever felt ever in my life. So I reached out, because thank God the energy workers, we know to see for each other, because I was almost too delirious to see for myself. But when the ego is tired, you get the wisdom. And when the ego is tired, you know what to do. And so I knew exactly what to do. I know who to call. I know what to do. And I still feel a little wonky. I feel like my root is up in the cosmos, and like my energy flipped. So I went to the South Pole. So I made a joke about being Santa, because all of us have a sleigh of gifts for the future children of the world. And I'm Rudolph with a bright nose and a cheeky personality. And so that has served me since the last year of having some profound virgin birth on the 24th of Christmas, which happens to coincidentally be my sister's birthday. One of my most precious gifts that I received on the 24th when she was born was my half-sister, Sarah. And she was literally, she's an elf, and her daughter's a little elf, and she's a darling, and I loved her so much, and I was so grateful to nurture her when she came into this world, because I was obsessed with becoming a mom since I can remember, holding dolls, playing with dolls. And so much of my awakening was literally, oh, thank you, Janice. This is my new signature color. I am the lipstick Buddha. When I did my very glamorous, beautiful reminder of the of Paris, I was at the Four Seasons, and it's funny I said Lavaux, because that's where we used to stay with Ian in his house in France. But when I was getting the photo shoot done, the lipstick she used was called something Gypsy. So I've decided, after like traveling the world from Jasper to Mexico, trying to order this lipstick. There was only 2 left in the world, and I ordered them. They came to California along with my microphone that never arrived. And it was ridiculous, but the lipstick arrived. And so I asked our friend to send it to Mexico. So the story of this lip stuff is ridiculous, because the microphone that I ordered is yet to be found in cyberspace, or in world space, not cyberspace. That never arrived, but I went on a quest to every lipstick store to try to match it, and nothing matched it. I could not. It was really glossy, the gypsy one that she used. And so it was hilarious. Well, I apply it quite a bit, Janice. If you want lipstick to last a long time, I'm now the lipstick Buddha. That was the story I was going toward. I had to be so patient and kind of persistent, because I wanted this darn lip stuff. And we get so weird when things get discontinued, right? I was like, there's only 2 left. I'm having those 2 lipsticks. So, like $400 later, this is my signature color. I forget the name of it, but there's gypsy included in that. So when you want lipstick to stay on, use a dry lipstick, like those pigment lipsticks, put it underneath and then put it over top. But I just reapply it. So I'm about to get on the flight. I am trying to ground to make sure that I can face the Mexico airport and kind of stay in my zone. So for those of you that are highly neurodivergent, sensitive, psychic, or maybe have a toe in the autism, which I've learned I do, what I would suggest is getting something beautiful. Like, I usually will take a rose, whether it be real or not, and I kind of hold it in front of me, so that instead of focusing on all of the external noise and crazy and faces and energetic signatures, I can focus on a rose. And so I had a treatment done with a rose grid yesterday, and I thought, well, how perfect is that, since that's such a sacred symbol for us. Isn't that funny, Janice? Yeah, it's the funniest story. So as I'm writing my book on the airport, look at this. This is what I'm bringing for the kids. Good thing they won't be able to see this, because I always bring them a surprise. Look at how big these pencils are. Because we're writing the story of our lives as we live it. And I've been writing quite a bit on my trip home, my book called Digital Awakening, which is an incredible story of truth, of the experiences that have led me to my spiritual awakenings, and how that's going to help you in your world, in your life, in your business, and help the community of the globe awaken, ideally gently, with humor, with love, with lightness, and with calling out things when they're unjust, and doing our best to detach from those stories that create harm and flip the story so that we can see all of the good in every story. In every single story, if you change your story, you're going to find nuggets of gold. And when we can find nuggets of gold, then we can take and alchemize and transcend and transmute and harmonize. And I really feel like this is the mission right now, is to harmonize the stories that we started making up, according to Deepak, about 40,000 years ago. If you go back about 300,000 years, we were quite harmonious. And if you look at the evolution of humanity, we wrote a lot of lies. And we wrote the sacred feminine out of a lot of religions. And I think that's been very harmful. And so in my last awakening, I realized that, coming back as like the holy grail of awakening and having that word come through so many times since then has been pretty powerful, to realize that all women and all people and all of humanity are connected, and we have the 25 or whatever percent of pure human that have never been on this planet before, that are very innocent, and then we have those of us that have been here since the beginning of time as founders of the planet, and I have memories of those times. And so it's quite wild when we have memories of our beginning, and there's no beginning and no end. So we get to see the truth of our creation, and in those moments they are awe-inspiring, and there is no doubt. But it also takes some time to assimilate all of that wisdom and come back, because it feels like you fell asleep for a long time and then you woke up in this chaotic environment and you're kind of disheveled a little bit. And so you need to really do the work vibrationally to come back into a functional realm. And so for all of this coming back, and why I wanted to do this update, was to let you know where I'm going with this, without a plan, without an anchor, without a plan. We're renting a home right now in Mexico. We are literally living in a paradise, which is a blue zone, which I feel for me vibrationally is the best match. So I'll be doing events there. We're going to have one big event next year for the Day of the Dead. So we're going to really embellish the makeup of life and really celebrate life and honor death as part of life, and really step into infinity mind. And for those of you that have done healing work or want to step deeper into healing work, those of you that are psychics, we're going to go beyond psychic, back to source. And I'm going to be showing you, because what I've needed to do in the last couple of years was put everything down, stop working on so many people, really awaken, get back in touch with my purpose here on this planet, and then tap in and commit to what I'm here to do, even though the egoless version of my awakened self could have, no problem, Janice, you can catch it later, thank you for popping on, would have been to go in a cave and just like hide away in paradise and do the work from that perspective, because truly I could just tuck away and still contribute to the waves of creation in a much more enjoyable space, which you never know, I might do that. You never know, one day I might just go, and I'm going to go live in the highest peaks of the jungle. And we met a woman who does this. She lives up in the jungle. She drives her children to this really incredible school we had the kids in last year. She takes an hour every day there and back to drive them. And that is not my mission in life, is to live in a car with my feet off the ground. But I do commit to certain flights and to certain trips. And I've downloaded a lot of my mission moving forward. And I'm even detached from that. And I suggest that. Detach. Put your desire, trust your dharma, and then do the thing, do the action step that you're guided to do, and then let it go. And then let God, spirit, consciousness bring you the best possible outcome. That's what I suggest for everything. We hold so tight. We hold so tight. So as a peaceful prophet, and I'm talking someone who can see the future, having glimpses of the future possibilities was a little bit terrifying, and it was very much in my head, and I had to let go. Whether we awaken on this planet or whether we don't is beyond me, but I'm committed to doing my best to share the messages and give you some tools to help you manage, because nobody in this planet right now gets out of what we're experiencing. This is global, this is communal, this is about all races and all colors, and it is not, basically, because I'm going to go soon, I'm going to just say that a lot of people have asked me about politics, and the only thing I'm going to say is that Mr. T's life contract is to be a chaos maker, because what it's forcing us to do is ask questions, and if we don't ask questions right now, we're screwed. So we need to ask the right questions, and mostly we need to take the wisdom and the knowledge that we already have to save our species and get the right heads and the right influencers on board so that we can spread this message. And through all of this crazy stuff, what came about was me going back to the mission that I was downloaded to many, many years ago in my first very pure consciousness awakening, that was taking away a lot of programming and conditioning that I had held on to for years, since the founding of the planet. And so when we forget, Spirit has a little alarm clock that goes off to get us back on path. So when the left turn came, when I was headed in the wrong direction, it was so obvious that it was unavoidable. And it was a very rough time because everything was so difficult in my life in that time. And it was like everything fell apart. Every part of community fell apart, relationship, career. And then a friendship that I love dearly, who wanted to help me, that fell through. I was like, wow, is there anything else that I have that I wanted to hold on to that vanishes? We cannot grasp all of this, right? It just vanishes like pearls in the, well, not pearls. Pearls are nice and heavy and grounded and classic and made naturally. But if you look at sand, if you were to hold sand in your hand, it would just vanish when the wind comes. And an awakening can feel like that, because every single thing you thought you had or that you owned burns to the ground, and you don't, the house you identified with as you, that we built, like with Margo precision, it was so beautiful. Every detail was chosen, you know, and it was such a beautiful home. And when we were guided to leave, I kept getting like, appreciate your home, take pictures of your home, get in the bathtub. Little did I know that it wouldn't exist. And the only reason that I sold it to the people I wanted to was because I knew I could go sit on the balcony and maybe rent my basement suite. And that was my logical way of detaching. And now, as we know, Jasper is in recovery too. So it's been a rough ride, I'm not gonna lie. But now I've learned the true art of detachment without anchors. So I'll be talking more about this. If you want to come into my monthly community, this is what I recommend. For those of you that perhaps don't know my work or are in the medicine, especially like the old, I'm going to call it old medicine. So a lot of the tribal medicines, it's very important that we honor old traditions. But when I was hired by indigenous people, including the healers and the leaders of the community, they had hired me because they knew I was bringing in something new. And so many of the teachings that I brought in were melding what I call quantum truth and ancient medicine. So much of what I do is both, right? It's like I know the ancient teachings because they're embedded in my knowing, and I tap into the inconceivable truth as well. So I'm really here to help guide medicine women, psychics, healers, teachers to a new level of understanding beyond some of our beliefs, and ideally partner and collaborate. This is what I am really getting, is that my abilities are out of this world, but they're not logical and they're not practical. And so when it comes to me, like creating a brand online and marketing myself online, that's not my jam. So if I don't have people to support me or get on people's podcasts or speak on people's stages or get out to the world in that way, it's just not going to happen, which is fine. And if it would have happened, it would have happened already. And it has in its own way, because that's how consciousness works. That there's a greater plan, even in our destruction, even in our losses, even in our what seems unjust. How do you find the grit and turn that pain to purpose? Is you do it over and over again, and then it becomes a really good skill that you're excellent at. Because I, Margo, Pearl, only create layers of positive story. So that grit that got in the shell and the beauty that was and all of the layers that produced is the pearl of the world. And when we can see the pain and the purpose behind everything, that it had to go exactly how it did, then we wake up to the truth that was always there in the beginning. That's always been there. The truth that is you, the spark that is the it factor, the thing that people are attracted to, the word of mouth business. Everything that for me has been word of mouth. So literally, I love that there's a little lipstick emoji right now at the bottom of my lipstick. So Lipstick Buddha coming to you from Mexico City, very polluted, very happy to going back to the green zone. Wish me luck. I'm going to be doing an unboxing So you can follow me here or on Instagram. I really suggest Instagram because I'm on Instagram a lot more. Or you can sign up for my newsletter at margobereska.com. I'm not perfectly consistent. I send you love letters when I feel like it. I post a blog when I feel like it. The $1.1 million offer is the mission with a message to help awaken and supply women with opportunities to create wealth in their life post-traumatic stress. So women that have lost husbands at war or in fires or floods, for women that have had miscarriages, loss, stillbirth, child loss, or narcissistic relationships where they're shaky and they need to rehabilitate and recover. I want to create like a soft landing for women that is a very accessible way for them to access coaching, support, meditations, all of that. So remember that no matter what point of life you are in right now, there is always accessible help out there. There's always free help. There's support lines. There are meditations online. There's YouTube. And there's so much free information that it's overwhelming. So don't ever let money be an excuse. I also teach women how to live an abundant life. One of the books that I've been writing for centuries is called Champagne Lifestyle on a Buddha Budget. And so even in my days of bankruptcy, you would still see me living a good life because I know how to manage money. So what I want to talk to you about is the trust and the frequency of money. I'm going to close this up right now, but I'm teaching many, many women this next year about the frequency of money, okay? And not the, look at me, I'm a $25 million coach. There's nothing wrong with normalizing wealth for women, but I've just seen some really tainted stuff happen with this whole obsession about how many figures you can make. So here I am, full figured, bringing in awakened wealth, which is truly about the value of our humanness. And if we dare to call ourselves conscious, then we must be able to hold that powerful word and act consciously. I love you so much. Have a most beautiful day. Today is the birthday of Sirius, my first baby that I held in my arms alive for 12 precious hours, which was an awakening in itself. And that was a very profound story where I remember the love in the room of that soul that visited me here on the planet for 12 spectacular hours and brutal hours in the paradox of life that we live. And it took me to a version of myself that I will never forget. I love you so much. Have an incredible November 21st. Happy birthday to two sisters. One of you is a bean and one of you is a beauty. I love you so much. Have a beautiful day, everybody. Love, Marguito.